Will problems with the Irish border stop Brexit?
How will trade work after Brexit?
Why haven't we left yet?
What will Brexit mean for the Union?
The Brexit vote showed Scotland really is a different country with a very different political outlook. That was demonstrated very clearly when 62% of Scots voted to remain in the EU, with 38% wanting to leave. Some hoped, others feared that Scotland being taken out of the EU against its will would lead more Scots to think it's time to leave the UK. Nicola Sturgeon certainly thought so. Last year, here at her official residence in Edinburgh, she announced plans for a second referendum on Scottish independence.
What Scotland deserves.
A vote which she wanted to take place before the UK left the EU. But Westminster said no, and Scotland didn't seem very keen. Just 3 months later at the general election, the SNP lost 21 seats. The anti-referendum Tories gained 12. The message was pretty clear. Ironically, Brexit's actually going to make the Scottish Parliament considerably more powerful. Once we leave the EU, many of the powers currently exercised in Brussels over things like agriculture and the environment will come directly here to Holyrood. But not everything that the Scottish Government thinks should be devolved will come straight to Edinburgh. There's been a bitter battle over control, and that's why MSPs would not approve the EU withdrawal bill. When the Scottish Parliament voted in May to refuse to give its consent to the EU withdrawal bill, Westminster decided to ignore it and impose the bill anyway. That's the first time that's happened in nearly 20 years of devolution. Now, this may sound like an obscure procedural argument, but it could have profound constitutional consequences. If or when there is another referendum on Scottish independence, this will be used as an example of why the Scottish Parliament needs complete control of its own affairs. Nicola Sturgeon will update us on her plans for another independence referendum next month. If she was expecting Brexit to create a surge in support for independence, she'll have been disappointed. Opinion polls have hardly moved. But already the process of leaving the EU has severely strained relations between Edinburgh and London, and may yet test the ties that bind the United Kingdom. Sarah Smith, BBC News, Edinburgh.